Hey everybody, welcome to the Week 7 recap of the fantasy football. Talking about pulling the skin out of my teeth on that. Pulling the victory off over Brandon on a Monday night, barely. 112 to 109 after 3 straight losses. Brandon coming in at 3 straight wins. And we flip-flopped. And 10th and 11th in the standings. As of now, after that, I jumped to 3 and 4 now, after losing 3 in a row. And then Brandon falls to 3 and 4. Down here, poor Maria, another loss, 1 and 6 after making it to the Super Bowl last year, or she was in the playoff anyway. Put it that way. She was in the Final Four, the semifinals. I know that much. Zach Flippin ends up beating her 99 to 72. Matt Fisher with 5 and 2 with a win over Colby, 110 to 73. Pat, another game, another week out of nowhere, 130 to 64 over my dad. 5 and 2. I think he started off 0 and 2 as well, if I'm not mistaken. Pat, that is. I could be wrong.
But that is some finish.
Gary losing 107 to 79. He falls to 1 and 6. Chuck, 4 and 3, and then down here, Caitlin over Andrew 107-95. Dylan over Mason 115 to 59. And Bill over the other Matt 132 to 98 to stay still undefeated at 7 and 0 here in fantasy football this season. Then we go on to the breakdowns here, the detailed results, and we're going to look the 112 to 109 victory for me over Brandon. 27 points for Minshew, who was only projected 11.5. That was a big positive there. Didn't score anything with Zach Evans, unfortunately. Tyler Bass only with 4. But A.J. Brown, 29.7. He's been the biggest player, one of the biggest players on my team all season long. And my bench wasn't really much anyway, so. And on the other side, a lot of double digits up here, but he also had a 0 with DK Metcalf. So that also evened it out and just barely lost.
Get that?
And that's what that looked like. We'll move on to the next one. The breakdown for Maria. Jared Goff was in because now that Justin Fields is out for a bit. He was injured last week. So Goff scored 9.3 under the projection score. And only had the max score of 10.9 for anybody. Nobody scored higher than a 10.9. That's tough to win that way. On the other side, you have Bijan Robinson only with a 0.3, but he also had a lot more double digits and helped get up there. And even her bench only scored 4 and 8. Like, literally, just nobody performed last week at all. That's how that looks. There's really not much to show here. There, any standouts really, besides Gus Edwards and Mac Jones were the 2 highest scores over here. So Colby has one of the the better teams, and minus 1.8 for Deshaun Watson. I think he came out with an injury in that game, if I'm not mistaken. And then Lamar Jackson went off. on Detroit this past weekend. So 33.8. And not even lost 3 points on the 49ers defense. But the Lions defense lost 7.
Gonzalez on Strabucci just got straight through it.
Puka Nacua was the one who scored the most points on Kobe's team.
Back up on his feet.
And that's really the standouts in that one.
It's an extraordinary tackle from Gonzalez. I don't think I've ever seen a tackle like that.
And we'll move on to the next one. Pat with his 130. It's a 64 victory.
And also on the left-hand castle, Richter, great start.
Pat projected at 107, scored 130. My dad was projected at 92, only scored 64.
That was a fantastic trap. It was so far out the left-hand side. How about that for a pick? That's a Tardo.
Travis Kelce with 35.9 in that game for Pat. And Dustin Hopkins, 22.
Again, they go their main man. And that's a good save. The follow-up is there.
4 players with at least 20 points or higher on Pat's team. That really will do it. And not really much on the other side. As 13.4 is the highest score by DJ Moore. Komet was projected at 9.6, didn't score anything. So that hurt right there in itself. And
as the ball comes back
it's
out
tough.
here, he's just the quickest to react. And that is 2
and
goals.
Gary, Tua only got 10 that week in the loss to Philadelphia.
In control of this
And
one.
that's Stevenson with 14, Waddle with 12, Njoku
Scorers.
with 10.4. Not really impressive scores. He didn't have anybody in for the defense. That's the only defense he had. He didn't have one on the bench, so he couldn't swap that out. Oh, I didn't get to see much of the games,
Well, that would just settle things
really,
down for Chile.
because we went to, me, my dad, Gary, and Maria all went to Eastern States weekend for the Eastern States 200 down in Middletown, Orange County Fair Speedway on Sunday. So we didn't get to really see much of the games, but it's hard to beat anyway when on Chuck's side we got 31 and a 33.8. So yeah, that, and also a 0 and a 1. So it kind of averaged itself out, I guess. And even 14 on the bench, but definitely was the right move because he had Mahomes with 33. I don't think I'd ever take Mahomes out unless he got hurt or had the bye, which they still do have the bye week coming up at some point. So he will have to put Stafford in. Oh, actually, Stafford went out of the... Or no, not that. No, I don't think so. But he does get injured a lot, so you never know. He's been getting injured ever since the Super Bowl. He didn't have a great year last year. But we move on to this one. And Caitlin Fisher with the win. Josh Allen with 24. Pacheco 16. Jerome Ford with 17.4. Pretty good scores over there. St. Brown 23. Mark Andrews 22 on the left side. But then you got Vaughn with a 0.7. Didn't help. You had Najee Harris 15.8 on the bench. And Jigba 16.3 on the bench. That 15.8 could have filled this slot, and this 16.3 could have filled this slot. That would have been a big difference in scoring.
The ball is just rolled off, and there is the quarter time hooter, and Chile
that's what it looked like.
head to the bench in front.
Neither quite hit the projected, but
they got the lead in the 9 minutes. Okay, guess why on the reverse stick? Not sure if
And Mason's impressive score, low score of 59, without getting a 0. Brian Hoyer, only a 1.1 as a quarterback, never good. Ahmed, 1.3. Julio Jones, 1.3. Although he was projected at 0, so I'm surprised he even had him in. Wow. Trevor Lawrence on his bench, 18 points. Obviously wouldn't have won him the game, but it would have looked a little better. He also left a lot on the bench over here. So Dylan comes out with the win and improves to 5-2. The final one we're looking at here. Bill once again with the W. And Tucker had 8. Only Brian Robertson and Devontae Smith, the only two under double digits. Alvin Kamara again with another big game, 29.3. And on the other side, Mike Evans had a 20.2. He was the best scorer on his team. 30. Deontay Foreman for the Bears went 33 points. Wow. That's pretty good. And yeah, that'll do it for that. We'll look at the standings real quick. There's the standings. We are sitting in 10th place right now. I now have a 39% chance of playoff. It was lower last week, but with the win, we're up to 39%. So that's good. Maria's got a 2% chance to make it at 1-6 right now. And she's even below Gary's. She's in all the way in the bottom in last place. Tough season for her. I know the feeling. I don't even feel like I'm 3-4. I feel like I'm worse because it just feels like I haven't been scoring. It doesn't feel like I've been scoring that greatly, but even though I have had weeks with hundreds, but I haven't had an impressive week yet, like a real impressive week yet, like Colby and Colby's had, Mason even had, Pat's had. A lot of people have had over 120. I don't think I have yet to have over 120 this year, so we'll see what happens. I got a decent team. This week was tough because a lot of players on my roster were on a bye. That was I was in trouble here because look at all my buys. That was the thing. This week was going to be tough because my projection was never that low as a projected score for a total. It's never been that low for projection. That's because all my best players were on the bye. So the good thing is that shouldn't happen again. I got that out of the way and got a win out of that week of all weeks. The projections were actually Brandon winning with 88 to 86.9. Low scores for both of us. Actually, we were both well over projected scores. So ended up here. Brandon had a decent week over projection and lost because it was just timing with me. And I know the feeling because the same thing happened with me and Pat. Pat had a heck of a week after having a bad week the week before that I would have beat him. You know, that's the way it happens sometimes. You get lucky one week and sometimes you get terrible luck and nobody performs. You never know. But yeah, Bill leads the way. Total points, though, actually, I believe belongs to Pat. I think Pat's got the most total points scored at the moment. Even though he's got 2 losses. Dylan's in 3rd. Matt Fisher's in 4th. And he started off 0-1. At least 0-1. It might have even been 0-2. Caitlin's right behind at 4-3. And Colby, the other Matt. Because I don't know exactly how to pronounce his last name. That's why I keep saying that. So, and then Zach Flippin and Chuck are at 4-3. there's two of us at 3 and 4, and it was both me and Brandon. And then Andrew, my dad, Mason are all at 2 and 5, and then Gary and Maria are at 1 and 6. Oh, I didn't realize there was season stats down here on this page. All right, here we go. I didn't realize that was down there that whole time. I was hoping, I'm like, why doesn't it show that? It's down below. So here you go. Here's the points for. And no, Bill actually does have the most points, but only by 1 point over Pat for total. So Pat actually only has 1 point less than Bill does, but he has 2 losses to show for it. I'm only got 681.
Good defending. Third time lucky. Across the face of goal. Picked up. Can they get the shot away? They can.
It looks like I've actually got the second most points scored again. Oh, third, fourth.
His teammate.
Never mind, there's a lot down here.
First one. On that far post.
So there's the streaks. So Pat has won 3 in a row.
Unable to get the right connection.
Pat's on a 3-game win streak. I think his last loss was that loss to Mason when they both had a ridiculously low score. So that's what, this is also in the order of the standings right here. And points for and points against, their streak. I mean, division, home and away don't really matter. Division, there's no division, so that is the exact record of everybody. So you can see it on this as well. So I gotta remember to start showing this. I didn't even know this was down here. But that's that. So we're gonna wrap it up. Gonna show you the posts, obviously, that I do every week on my Discord. And this is the scores and images I posted from my screenshots from my phone. So this is the week scores from week 7. Bill actually scored 132 and Pat scored 130. And he's only scored 1 point more. So actually I think Pat did have more points the week before by 1 point. And now Bill scored 2 points more. So now Bill's got 1 point advantage total score. That's what it looks like to me. Here is the detailed results.
Mexico won this for third. Maybe a little shrug of the shoulders.
And the standings.
It's gone you 5 or not.
And the top 16 scores, which is all 16 team scores in order by score. So Bill with the top score of the week, Pat with the second most, and down the order, the highest losing score was Brandon, unfortunately, to me.
Right, there's the free hit.
And then the next score, losing score, was 98. And we look down here. The lowest score of the week was Mason with 59.6. A lot of low scores, though, under 80. 5 scores under 80. So there you have it for week 7 recap. We'll see you in week 8 next week. Thanks for watching, everybody. See you next time.